Hey, yo, what's up?
How's it going? Okay, I'm gonna need you to have a seat right over there. Come on, let's go.
Hello everyone, I'm CinnamonToastKen, and we're joined today by Chris Hansen.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming down.
Yeah.
Literally in the middle of nowhere, so it's
beautiful area. Cold.
Yeah.
It's getting warmer from New York City, that's for sure.
Whenever I got the email being like, hey, you guys should work together. What do you think about Chris Hansen coming down? I was like, he's not coming all the way down here. No way. Hey, here he is.
They have an airport, I'm coming. Yeah. Well, thanks, I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. And we are going to be watching with Chris Hansen on True Blue. And now you guys have over 100 episodes now on True Blue. And
we do. So the new series, or not new, but this particular series is called Takedown with Chris Hansen. And it's, the latest predator investigation that we do. And so we go all around the country, up north, down south, Midwest, and we collaborate with law enforcement, sheriff's departments, and police departments, and we set up these sting operations. And if you'd asked me 20 years ago when we started the predator investigations, if we'd still be doing them, I would have said, no. Who's going to show up?
Right.
Well, we've done these shows. They're very popular, obviously. We were just out last week. And again, in 2 nights, 4 guys showed up. And it shows you just not how prevalent this issue is. It shows you who's involved. Executives, guys who are here illegally in this country, illegal immigrants, which addresses that big issue that we're facing in society. And most recently, as you know, a guy who showed up to our sting house and stripped butt naked. It's only happened 3 times. The third time was just a few weeks ago in Alabama.
Wait, was it one guy who showed up for a cat or something?
That happened in Fort Myers, Florida.
Yeah. Okay.
A Cool Whip, a cat. He walks in naked, and that particular guy, he was so excited to follow the decoy into this room, not knowing that I would be on the other side and open the door, and
Yeah.
Here
he comes.
You want to explain yourself?
Oh, surprise!
And this latest guy was shocked too. Obviously, he's standing in the kitchen naked.
Oh my goodness! That's gonna be a checkout today, and if you want to check out True Blue and check out the over 100 episodes they have of Takedown with Chris Hansen, click the link down in the description below. Use code KEN25 for 50% off your first month.
Appreciate that,
Chris. I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
In all the To Catch a Predator episodes, and even in Takedown, is your favorite part when the predators get tased?
They don't.
Because that is mine.
Yeah, well, I understand, and you're not alone. A lot of people like that moment when that down on the ground justice takes place. Some guys deserve it. It doesn't happen that often, believe it or not. Most of the time, they sit and they talk. Sometimes they bolt and they get, taken down. Most of the time, that doesn't include the taser. But
okay, all right.
There have been some instances where the guy really deserved the taser. We had one in Kentucky, and the guy was coming. And that's the thing about these guys: they're there to rape a child, sexually exploit a child, but they don't want to get their muddy boots on the carpet, so they take their shoes off. And they come in there and do what they do. I confront him. The guy goes to leave. The police are waiting for him outside. And he misunderstands the command. And they tase him, but one of the taser wires doesn't connect. So you're hearing this, but he doesn't do anything. So he gets freaked out, runs back in the house, and now they're coming heavy. So now they got the thing, and they got it on his neck. I'm watching this. They come right by me. Right? They come right by me. And then he got him on the ground. Yes. Yeah, take this. Take this. So, he wasn't so brave after that.
Yes.
Blount County is known as the covered bridge capital of Alabama.
Alabama, right next door. Oh no!
I saw the sign. Birmingham, not far from where you're sitting right here.
Made your way down south. Oh,
yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Deputy Ty Sissom has been posing as a 15-year-old girl online.
I said, "How old are you?" "I'm 15. He said, "I'm 31.
All right, so we got a 31-year-old man coming to meet a 15-year-old girl, and he's paying for her, he's paying for services. Okay, I like how you guys have done that instead of trying to get him to come in. It's like, hey, an exchange of some kind.
Well, it is, and it's again, it shows intent.
Yeah.
So anytime a guy brings something, whether it's money in exchange for sex, a soda pop even, condoms, other things associated with sexual exploitation of a child, that is intent. And all that is admissible and very strong evidence in court at some point for prosecution, yeah.
You okay with being with a young girl? He said, how about your stepmom? I said, she's going to sleep. I said, you want sex or? He said, sex.
Hey, this guy's just going all in. He's just airing it all out.
Well, right. And so at this point, you know, this guy is setting up his fantasy. This has been brewing for a long time. And what we see in these investigations often mimics what guys are looking for on porn sites. You know, underage kids, both boys and girls. And we saw both in this particular investigation. And there's this fantasy about stepmom, stepdaughter, aunt, niece, daddy, daughter. You see this all the time. And it's not just something that is made up in their minds all the time. It's something they see on a porn site, and then they get obsessed with it. And so when they see a chance to do it in real life, they act.
I've been very vocal about it, but it's always bothered me that on those sites you have like barely legal, you know, all that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, you know where that's going, right? And yes, we do see guys surface in our investigations who are just playing out this fantasy over the phone, over text, and never show up. But half the time, at least, they show up. They want to fulfill this fantasy. And that's when you see them knocking on the door.
I think Chris Hansen's waiting on him.
Yeah. Me and, in this case, the Blount County Sheriff's Office in Alabama. There's our guy.
There he is.
Man, that man looks like Alabama. You know what I mean? Like when I hear Alabama, that's it, you know?
Ryan.
That's a question. Whenever you guys, like, obviously you show these guys and it's before they're prosecuting anything, but do you guys ever get any blowback for like their privacy or stuff like that?
Well, you know, we are a news organization covering the commission of a felony, and we're watching this felony being committed by this chat. That's where the crime takes place. It's the solicitation of a minor in most cases on the chat. So when they show up, it's, you know, easier to arrest them. Obviously, it shows the intent, and oftentimes they, you know, admit what they were doing. You know, sometimes they deny, and later they admit. But, you know, everybody's do their day in court. But one of the reasons why this has been so compelling and so popular for so many years is that we take people inside the commission of a felony. And I think it does provide some deterrence, but not as much as I thought it would in the beginning, because these guys are still showing up in record numbers. And I think here's why. You know, in the beginning, we had decoys in chat rooms on, you know, AOL and Yahoo, and that ancient thing you may recall called MySpace. Right? And that was pretty much it. But today, the activity is so spread out over so many different social media platforms that it's hard to detect, it's hard to prosecute, because there's so many different places where these guys can operate with impunity and in some cases anonymity.
So funny you bring that up, because I'm going to ask that eventually. It's like, since you've been doing this for as long as you have, is it disheartening for you that these guys still show up?
It is.
Half the time
in some
being
ways.
like,
yeah,
Chris Hansen.
Yeah, and in many cases, these guys show up and they know exactly who I am. And they'll bring it up in the chat. They'll say, is this a Chris Hansen thing, or a Sheriff Mark Moon thing, or a Sheriff Grady Judd thing, or a Sheriff Chris Swanson thing? You know, all these different agencies we work with. And sometimes they'll say, well, tell the sheriff and Chris I said hello, and we never hear from him again. Wow. And sometimes we'll see a guy surface in 1, 2, maybe 3 investigations before he actually appears. Oh, wow. And in different jurisdictions, if the chat is very graphic, very concerning, and is illegal, they will go out and get him. You know, they'll have a roundup. Yeah,
nice.
If they think he's a continuing big danger
threat
to the public. Yeah.
Yeah, we always crack up a lot. We actually, I should bring it up. We have a bingo card sometimes. It's like, I knew this was a setup. And it's like, well, why'd you show up?
Yeah.
You know, what are you doing here then?
Well, it speaks to the addiction and the need to fulfill this fantasy. And, you know, we always want to categorize these guys and say, what makes them tick or what's the punishment? And there's no one clearly defined answer because they're all different guys, right? Some of the younger guys can go have therapy and treatment and be monitored and never offend again. And I've seen this, and we go into these cases in the podcast. I have predators I've caught where we go back and say, look, this guy got caught at 23. He's never done anything wrong again. He's a productive member of society. And then we see guys who get caught again and again and again, and those guys need to be, you know, locked up for life. But we want easy answers. And the truth is, we don't have easy answers.
The decoy heads out the front door as the surveillance cameras capture the man pulling into the driveway.
There he is. You know, I also got to point this thing out is I also like the way you guys set the sting house up. There's not like just a random cloth, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously we've become more sophisticated over the years, and so we can see them, and it's important from a television production standpoint, obviously, because we want to see everything we can about the process. Because you do want to see that moment where the on-site decoy is chatting with the alleged predator, because it shows intent, it shows what this guy is willing to do, and you see this look on their face sometimes, like, oh my God, there's really a girl here, and they say it, you're real. She leaves.
Why are they so surprised?
I come out. I come out, and you know, it's game over. This, you know,
so wow,
they're shell shocked.
I can't believe you're actually here. And I'm here. This could be bad.
Of a fantasy. Yeah,
we used to
really bad.
We used to laugh at some of the old stings because there'd be so much random stuff like in the yard to like block off like the back of the driveways.
Well, so they can't get away that way. You gotta put a bicycle down, or you know, you want them to come a certain way because if they come sneaking around another way, it's a security challenge, and it's also, you know, a challenge to see them and tell the story.
There it is, the leaf camera.
That's exactly what it is too. Check this out. Now he's looking around. Look how suspicious he is.
Checking the back.
Look around. What's over here? This is about to get a whole lot more interesting here.
You gotta make good on your deal first.
The deal, as discussed online, was for him to get naked as soon as he arrived.
Watch this.
Oh no!
Here goes.
You won't take something off.
Now he wants her to strip down at the same time, which clearly she's not going to do. There go the shoes.
Oh no!
Ow! He's going to drop trowel.
You're not gonna come out and stop him?
Ow! Not yet. Chris, stop him already!
Please! What was that?
Smoke detectors.
Smoke detectors.
Oh no! Now imagine us in the back room. And this poor decoy's got to see this, and then she's got to exit, stage left. And he's there, buck naked. We're gonna let him stand there for a couple seconds and wait till you see his face when he sees me.
I'll let him marinate a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to make yourself right at home, don't you? Have a seat on that stool right over there.
Nope. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what hit him. Now, thankfully, we had put a towel down on the stools. You know. You got to reuse that stool. You know? So, I'm thankful that he put his clothes back on. It makes the whole process a lot easier. But we've had it on the two other occasions where this has happened. I've had to interview the guy naked. I had a towel around him.
So how do you come out and keep a straight face and like?
Well, there's a lot going on. So
I guess
even
the
when
it's
it's darkly humorous, right? There's a lot going through my mind. You know, obviously we know he's not armed because he's naked. I'm really not that worried about my safety because, you know, law enforcement's right there. And if it goes sideways, and it has in the past, I get out of the way and let them do their job. But this, I mean, you just can't. It's unbelievable.
So speaking of being compelled, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, your famous words. You just told this man to have a seat.
Yeah.
How did I? Is it like a Jedi mind trick? Like, why does it work every single time?
Well, you know, I'm taller in person than it appears on camera, so that gives me a little bit of physical authority.
I was going to say, when you walked in, I felt like I should sit down. I was like, oh.
Exactly. I'll get to that in a moment. But I wanted Mary to be in the other room. But
Oh, no!
Didn't want to front you off a bit. No! You know, so there's a physical presence that is helpful. Also, there's stun, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But there is, you know, I try to disarm in this situation because I really do want to know what's going on in this guy's mind.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the goal of it, is to figure out why. And if you understand the way a predator's mind works, you can better educate people to protect themselves and keep them safe. But again, everything else that goes with it obviously is entertaining, compelling, and sometimes darkly humorous.
Yeah, well, even like with what we do, like it's jokes at the expense of the predator, but the situation is very serious. What's happening?
Oh yeah.
And we don't take it lightly. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that we don't talk about security-wise because of that. And there are things that could potentially roll sideways, but we take great lengths to make sure that doesn't happen.
Is this guy gonna roll sideways on you, Chris?
Take a look.
You don't have a gun or anything, do you? Okay.
Oh my God, dude! Does he have the Alabama freaking tattoo, or is that?
Roll Tide.
Oh,
Roll Tide.
Sure enough.
Boy, I can't wait. All the local Alabama fans.
Yeah. Crushed.
Okay, grab your pants. Where are you? I'll tell you in a minute. Just go right over there. Go ahead. Just take them with you.
Apparently, he's not a true blue
Dave.
subscriber.
I don't know how you not know at this point, because even people making parodies and stuff, like what you guys do here. You've been talking about it for the last 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
Well, you know how to make yourself right at home, don't you? Come in here, get buck-ass naked. What's your name?
Well, in the streaming world, as you guys know, you can be a little more colorful than
Right,
in the network, and I think people respect that. I mean, they do. It's real.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look what
sure.
you just saw.
Exactly.
This isn't scripted.
This guy looks horrified right now.
Yeah,
he's
he's still sorting it out. Yeah.
I always love how it's like, who are you? And you say, we'll get to that. And they just
Yeah.
kind of never push it until later.
Right.
They're like, okay.
Well, some get aggressive, but this guy was just, he's now thinking, what kind of trouble am I in now?
And what was your plan here tonight?
I don't really know.
You don't really know. Well, it looks like you knew because you got naked in the kitchen of this house.
Well, at first, I really didn't want to come, honestly.
Yeah.
Really? Tell me why.
At first, I didn't really want to come, honestly.
Oh,
Then why are you here?
Yeah. I may have to pull the bingo card.
I was gonna say, where's the bingo card?
Like, I wasn't going to do nothing. I was here to watch football. Or,
Roll Tide.
I thought about turning around the whole drive over here, but didn't do it. I knew this was a setup.
I knew this was a setup.
Kevin, why?
Here you are still.
So you drive over here. Did you have any second thoughts on the way?
I did.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
And what were
Nothing but
those
second thoughts, obviously.
Just to go back home.
Go back home. 2-hour drive? Just about?
But, yeah.
I mean, you may have heard this question before, but I've always kind of wondered, like, when you come out and you got these guys like deer in headlights and you're just pushing on them, is there a little bit of satisfaction to make them sweat?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, look at what they were willing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, think about this for a minute. If we're not there, if the sheriff's office is not there, and it's just him and a 15-year-old girl, what's going to happen?
Right.
That child's going to be sexually exploited with lifelong effects. And if he's done it once, how many other times do you suppose he's done this?
Right.
Oh, he'll say never, of course.
Everybody says it's my
Yeah.
first time. I've never done it before. And I'm sure some of the fellows are telling me the truth. But I'm guessing the vast majority have done this before, have tried it before, and had fantasized it before. And if it wasn't us and there was an opportunity, they would have seized upon that opportunity.
If I was in your position doing this, I would just be like, yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
But it's
Get out of here!
it's the tone of it is important. I mean,
Right.
you see some of these amateur guys doing it or vigilante guys doing it, and they're way over the top, and they're
Right.
shooting smoke guns and hitting the guys. In those cases will never be prosecutable.
Right.
Our goal is to see justice on a couple of different levels. Justice by us holding them accountable, yes, that there's a certain sense of justice in there. But if they're not prosecuted, then what have we done at the end of the day? When we first did this 20 years ago, the guys walked out the door. Now,
Right.
some of the cases were prosecuted after the fact by police and sheriffs and prosecutors, and that was great. They made the cases. But it became very clear to me early on that the only socially responsible way to proceed was to collaborate with law enforcement. And from purely a television production standpoint, it was unfulfilling for the viewer to see these guys walk off without facing any consequences. So, you know, we had to do it.
We'll go look up the Wikipedia on these guys afterwards and kind of see what's happening. Oftentimes it'll be like, yeah, they got out, you know, in like a light sentence, and then they did something again and went back. And
we had a guy in Ohio, after a very sexually charged conversation, showed up. But later in the chat, and this guy had a criminal history for assault and strangulation and some other bad stuff. He wasn't initially prosecuted by the DA's office in Ohio because at the end of the chat he said, or we could just cuddle. And so they wanted to wait. They cut him loose. They didn't immediately take the case to the grand jury or detain him. 2 weeks after he surfaced in our sting, 2 weeks, they find him in a hotel room with a real 14-year-old girl.
Wow.
Videotaping the sex he was having with the girl. And so now, oh, he's a horrible guy. Well, we should have locked him up in the beginning.
Yeah.
And this isn't the fault of the sheriff's office or anybody working with the sheriff's office. The prosecutor, you know, didn't want to take a case that wasn't, in their opinion, solid. And so this guy goes out and rapes a child. Now he's doing prison time. But that shows you what these guys are capable of. And this BS about, oh, or we could just cuddle. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah,
And he lied. And we have this is on True Blue. They have him standing out on body cam, police body cam, lying his ass off, saying, oh, no, nobody's in there. All right, well, let's just go take a look. Oh, no, you don't need to. Nobody's in there. And then he continues to lie until he's shown the video of him having sex with a child.
Wow.
jeez.
You know, that's the mindset we're dealing with here.
You know, we watched one of those episodes where you confronted the guy, and then like a day later or 2 days later, you catch the same guy at the McDonald's or something, you know. And
John Kennelly.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Went on one of these sites
Yeah.
and you met this girl.
I've never done nothing like this before.
Never did it.
Or why did you start this time?
Just feeling desperate, looking for a girl.
Feeling desperate,
Hang out
looking for a
with.
girl.
It's always bugged me so much about how when you catch these guys, suddenly like they become the pitiful one or they're the victim.
Right.
Or
Feel sorry for me.
Yeah, it's never, oh, I could have ruined this young person's life if they were actually here. Nothing like that. It's just like, oh, poor me.
But that's the psychology of these guys. When you talk to therapists who deal with these fellows all the time, they often have narcissistic qualities, and they see themselves as the victim here. You know, I can't find a girlfriend, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm shy. You know, none of that is an excuse for showing up here to meet a child.
Yeah, none of it. Yeah.
That's what a predator does.
You don't go rob a bank and be like, oh, I was broke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That don't work.
What do you do for a living, Ryan?
Work at a chicken plant. Maintenance.
Maintenance. And what do you maintain?
Just machines.
Machines. Good job?
Yeah.
Good money?
Yeah.
How long you been there?
So at this point, when you're asking these questions, are you just trying to get them talking?
Well, yeah, I want to know about what this guy does for a living, and sometimes we find out that they do something shocking.
Oh, right.
You know, something that would give them access to children. And sometimes by just asking that question or waiting, they'll volunteer something that's phenomenally interesting about themselves or about what they've done before. And it's just, it's amazing sometimes the confessional that this becomes.
I think it's almost an amazing thing of how so many of these guys that you get don't say anything. You know,
We get that once in a while. And then the challenge is, okay, how do I get them to talk?
yeah.
And you look for things that you can, buttons to push that will get them to talk. And you know, sometimes it doesn't work and the guy just clams up, and we've had him, you know, just go silent and, you know, not even want to look at me.
Right.
And at that point, you know, I got to earn my money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when they speak Spanish, you know, I got to figure out how to, I mean, sometimes there'll be somebody to translate. But in the last investigation we did just last week from this recording, we had two guys from Honduras, and you know, I know a little bit of Spanish. I know enough to get it started, but if there's not somebody there who's completely fluent, it's a bit of a challenge. But you got to work through it, That's
get the Google Translate out, start talking to it.
Well, that's what we used. Sometimes it comes to that.
We've even seen you use the pizza before. You know, like to get the guy talking.
Yeah.
Who orders that pizza? Is that yours?
No, the case you're talking about, Jeff Frankel, he brought the pizza.
Oh, yeah.
He offered it to him.
That's right.
Ate the pizza.
Right.
And what made you think it was all right to have a sexually charged conversation with somebody who told you they were 15?
I thought she was 19.
No. But she told you she was 15, and I've got the text, so I've seen it.
I remember seeing 19 though on the site.
Okay, but she said 15.
Another classic.
Yeah. So what they try to hide behind is that some of these apps, these social media platforms, require you to say that you're 19 to get on, but there's no independent confirmation of the age, so any kid can get on this and do whatever.
It's like, are you over 18?
Kids know that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And they hide behind that, even though the guy doesn't even get an invite. He isn't even given the location of the Sting House until it's very clear in the chat that he knows he's talking to somebody who's underage.
Right. Gotcha.
And that's what happens in every case. Whatever age we use, and it ranges from 13 to 15, depending on the scenario and what the decoy is actually doing, it's all illegal. I mean, there's no bait and switch here where all of a sudden we're saying 16, 15. It's the same age throughout the chat. Yeah. And there's no ambiguity here. They know or should know that what they're doing is illegal.
Yeah, well, there's like, what was that recent thing that happened? A school where they lured a guy, the military guy, to the school and
Assumption
College in Massachusetts. Yeah, I get a lot of requests to talk about that because, there again, these kids, a confluence of dunces decides to accept some social media challenge to out a predator. And all they did was they got a guy to come over to meet an 18-year-old girl on campus, and they tried to detain him, and they all got prosecuted. 5 students got prosecuted for it. They made an example out of him by prosecuting him.
And the whole point of catching the predator is, the predator.
Yeah. Right. This is a guy who, thought he was meeting an 18-year-old girl on Tinder, and now the age might have been inappropriate, but it wasn't illegal. And that's what these kids and a lot of these amateur or vigilante people doing this don't understand. They're just out to get the clicks and to be a part of some social media trend.
Yeah. Well, you talked about this earlier, and I'm glad you brought it up again because, as viewers of this content, whenever we see, they're hitting the guy at Walmart or something like that, being outside of doing it the proper way in law enforcement, we're like, deterrent.
There's a certain amount of, satisfaction. I get it that comes from it, but that's not what we operate on. I think social media has been a great thing for citizen journalists and for the crowdsourcing of crime solutions. But you can't just bait somebody and go out there and beat the hell out of them. That's wrong. It's illegal in its own right. So you're going to commit a crime to expose an alleged crime. And what have you got at the end of the day? A big mess that can't be prosecuted. And what else is on this guy's computer that you will never see now because of the way you prosecuted this?
Right.
What other crimes have been convicted? Now, you had your momentary splash of attention and clicks and maybe some cash. But where's the justice there?
That's a good point.
That's a very good point. I'm kind of mad now. That's
I
a great point.
I might have been asked this before. I might have given it some thought before I rolled down here to hang out with you guys for a morning. Might have thought about it for a minute.
So Chris Hansen is not joining DAP. Got it.
We're pretty clear on that now.
Wait, how do you feel about Skeeter Jean? You don't have to answer
People ask all the time. And, here's a guy who may be doing it for the right reasons, maybe just doing it for clicks. And he goes out and pretends to have a voice like mine, and then he outs this guy, and then he says, "We're with the predatory patrol. We might as well be with the Paw Patrol unit. It has the equal amount of gravitas." And then he calls 911 to call the police. And what if shots are fired? And there's nobody's prepared for this because it isn't anything that's in collaboration with law enforcement. Law enforcement was dragged in after the fact, so some officer gets dragged into this, and maybe the guy's armed, maybe not. We've had people come into these stings in states where it's very common to carry a concealed weapon. Now, we have a plan, God forbid that happen, where somebody draws down. We understand what's going to happen. Law enforcement knows exactly how this is going to work. In these amateur vigilante scenarios, they're walking into a potentially volatile situation.
I tell you though, you have been asked this before. Yeah.
Well, I give it some thought because you know I'm not out to to say that I'm the only human in the world who can do this or whatever. That's not the point of it. The point is that we do it in a way that's socially responsible, that's legal, that's ethical, and it results in a huge prosecution rate. Right? 90-some% of these guys are successfully prosecuted. The vast majority plead guilty because the cases are so strong. That's not what happens in these other cases. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. And the point of it is to get these guys off the streets. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You saw 15 too. Okay. You said I can f you raw?
Jesus, Chris, you can't say that.
You're gonna take that away, Chris. You can't do that.
It is shocking to say it, and shocking for me to hear myself say that on camera. But here's what it does. It also creates a sense of shock for the alleged predator. And by the way, people should know what is in these chats. People should know why it's important to have a relationship with their child so they don't go into these areas and become vulnerable. Yeah. Do I necessarily want somebody who's 12 or 13 years old seeing that? Not really. It's a little bit too much for them. But their parents should see it and have a conversation with that 12 and 13-year-old because that's what's out there. And by occasionally stepping over the line of what would be acceptable on mainstream television, I think you get a lot of people's attention. But I'm still a little uncomfortable myself.
Really?
When I say that, use that kind of language. I mean, it jerks them around. It gets their attention. But it does let people know that that's what's out there.
You ask if you can fuck her raw. Why did you say it if you don't know? You must have known. You wanted to have sex with her without a condom.
Yeah,
right.
Either with or without.
Yeah. Yeah, matter of factly, either with or without a condom. They're very brave. And here's what has happened on the internet, and you guys know this. They're very brave when they don't have to come face to face with somebody. Everybody's a keyboard warrior, and they say things and do things. And that's part of what drives this is that they can continue to talk about it and push the envelope and push and push and push. And suddenly it becomes acceptable in their mind to do this. Then they're here. They're in the sting. They're in the kitchen.
Roasted.
You sent a picture of your penis.
Yeah.
What was that about?
I don't know.
All right.
And that's the other thing I don't understand. Why these guys think that that's in any way attractive to any female of any age to send a picture of their privates.
Right.
Where in the history of mankind, when has that worked?
What do you mean? Unsolicited dick pics aren't appreciated? What?
And yet,
That's what Tinder was created for.
Snapchat was built on that.
I say that stuff all the time. In the history of the world, has that ever worked? I don't know.
You wanted to stay the night.
Well, she asked me.
She asked me.
Yeah.
God.
And this is the other thing you see consistently is deflection.
Yeah.
She said this. She told me. She asked me. Put it on the victim. It's insane.
How dare she ask him?
Yeah.
I can't tell this supposed 13-year-old no. Jeez.
And what did you tell her?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I forgot.
Would you like me to refresh your memory? We're gonna fuck all night.
I like this. The guy's like body language. Every time you say it to him, he's kind of like almost like it hurts him. He's like, yeah.
So am I in trouble?
Am I in trouble?
You say okay.
This guy, I don't know why he's just so. Oh,
Yes, son, you're in trouble.
do you feel bad for me? Can you just let me go? Does he ask you? I have to see. Can you just let me go, please?
Sometimes they say that.
Yeah.
This doesn't look good for you.
I'd never do it again, though. I promise.
Never do it again.
I'll never do it again, Chris.
Just let me go. I'll never do it again.
I feel so bad now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
God.
you got caught. That's why.
Please, these guys. It's just so amazing to me how like so many of these cases are like the same conversation.
Well, these guys have the same, the same personality trait that makes them think this is okay to do. So you're going to hear the same excuses. And these guys, are a whole different level of evil. And so they're thinking, okay, if this is a sting, what am I going to say? And then they convince themselves that they're so good at saying it, they can get themselves out of trouble. And it's part of the mindset of a predator. And you see it right here.
Wait, is that a camera on top of the fridge right there?
Yeah. See, he's never going to see it because he walks in the door.
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
He's focused on, there's a box that, we hide him. And he's going to be so focused on the onside decoy that he's not going to look around.
Decided to celebrate Christmas this way?
I guess.
I guess. Well, you're about to get a lump of coal in your stomach.
Hate to be the Grinch.
What do you think would have happened, Ryan, had I not been here and it was just you and a 15-year-old girl, all naked?
Honestly, eventually I'd probably back out.
You back out?
Yeah, there it is.
There it
Yeah.
is.
I'd get scared and back out.
My conscience would kick in now.
Now, this is a guy who just moments ago took his clothes off in the Sting house.
Right.
And asked her when she was going to start taking her clothes off. So you can't tell me that he would have backed out.
After we got naked, we have been like,
That's a bad idea.
I did drive an hour.
What if Chris Hansen's around the corner? What if the Blount County Sheriff's Office is around the corner?
I was honestly thinking about putting mine back on and leaving.
You didn't look that way.
And really, when she went to the bathroom, I was thinking about getting dressed and going.
Sticking to his story.
Yeah. With the cash on the table too, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
With the way that you guys do it now, I know like previously there were some instances where you guys are taking one guy out the back door and the next guy's coming in.
It happened just last week during a sting. We had a guy show up, drove an hour across town, bad weather, to meet a teenage girl for sex. And we had another guy who wanted to trade hard narcotics, drugs for sex, literally in the neighborhood. And we're trying to figure out how to handle both these guys at the same time. It ended up because the same onside decoy was involved in both cases that she got so busy with the one that she lost communication with the other guy. Now he's mad because she didn't get right back to him and he's already left the area. And she says, well, you're welcome to come back. He goes, no, it's too late. I'm mad now. Well, we'll see. We'll see if you pop back in the next time we do a sting.
Okay, I'm Chris Hansen, and I do stories on men who try to sexually exploit children. And you're on one of those stories.
Oh, I love this part. I love this part.
So it's not bad enough that he's had to withstand this withering cross-examination, but now he knows that the cameras are there.
Yeah, this whole time they've been there like, one-on-one, I'm dealing with you, and then all the cameras show up, and they're like, and we always bring up, I don't remember which season it was, but he had this one guy, he had the handheld, and he would always like put it right in their face. I was just like, yeah.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I've been talking to a girl.
You've been talking to a girl.
Yeah, he came to meet her tonight,
Yeah.
You have kids?
Why?
Well, and so the question begs, how would you feel if somebody came over to your home when your kids are alone? Right. And nobody feels good about that.
To have kids and to still do this to a child is like
I'll never fully understand it. Therapists can tell me about it. Psychiatrists can tell me about it. Law enforcement can try to explain it to me. I'll never understand why somebody thinks this is okay.
And we don't know how many times you've done it before, do we?
I've never done it before.
I know, but it defies logic, Ryan, that just one night, out of the blue, the week before Christmas, all through the house, not a creature is stirring, except you, Ryan, trying to have sex with a 15-year-old girl.
You practiced that before you came out there?
I might have thought about it a few times.
It was smooth.
It was the week before Christmas.
He even looks impressed too.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I just don't want to ruin my life.
Well, I don't want you to ruin your life either, but you came in here and got butt-ass naked in the middle of the kitchen.
I already like that guy already. I like
Yeah,
how he's like,
it's good. It's good. They're all good teams. We work with some great folks in law enforcement. Obviously, there's some agencies we've worked with a lot. Genesee County, Michigan, the Ghost team. And they will actually go into some of these other jurisdictions and teach with their playbook other law enforcement agencies how to do this, which was the case in Blood County. But they operate independently on their own. They've done a wonderful job down there, and they're dedicated to this mission.
So even if you're not around to film, they're still out there just catching these guys.
Yeah, I mean, typically we try to be there when they do it. But you know, sometimes we're not, and you know, they can't wait for us. They want to do what's right for their communities. You know.
So after you guys catch, you say we're going to follow up on this guy. Like, are you guys? When do you guys follow up on it?
Well, we keep in touch with the law enforcement agencies on all these cases, so we know when there's been an update, and we will update the pieces on True Blue. You know, we've got more than 100 episodes out now, and many more in production. And then,
by the way, Ken 25, 50% off.
Yes. And also, you know, that's the reason we do the podcast, Predators I've Caught, because we can go back 20 years and see where these guys are today. And so we have all that information in the podcast, too, Predators I've Caught.
Where can we listen to Predators I've Caught?
It's on every platform. And we've got more than 200 episodes of that.
200?
Awesome.
You can get lost in that.
So follow up on that, guys. If you want to check out Chris Hansen's podcast, Predators I've Caught, over 200 episodes. Also, check out True Blue, Take Down Chris Hansen, code KEN25. There's a link down in the description. They got 100 episodes over there. Lots more content for you guys to check out. And thank you guys very much for watching. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. Stay toasty. See you next time. Bye.
There's a camera in the Keurig.
Nice.
There's a camera in the Keurig thing, and then I got a second camera right there. So it goes off.
I haven't said anything about it yet, but I've just been looking at that open box of Pop-Tarts.